Hello peeps, and welcome back to Coast Entertainment for my next review. I decided to go ahead and get these rolled right here. So I'm reviewing the Insidious films today. Because they're short and sweet, I can do all 4 films in one day, so that's what I'm doing, is doing all 4 films throughout the day. Probably taking breaks in between each one of them, but yeah. Well, I came across this movie because my niece was a big fan of this movie, and it was on Netflix, and she wanted me to watch it, so I did. This film freaked me out a little bit. I will admit that. Okay, I'll admit, the first time I saw this movie, it did kind of creep me out, much like the Conjuring films. But I still will say that the Conjuring films are scarier than the Insidious films. But I don't know what it is about the Insidious films, especially the first 2, that I like them. I would say that the franchise does kind of go downhill after the success of the second movie, which is definitely my favorite one in the series, is part 2. But this movie just, it needed to be made. It's definitely a good one. Certainly one of the most shocking horror films of the modern age. Well, the premise of the movie is pretty much this. A teacher and his wife and 3 children, an older boy, a younger boy, and a newborn daughter, moving into this new home, this new house. Their son starts acting a little bit weird, and weird things start to happen in the house, haunting things. And then one night, their son goes to sleep after experiencing a haunting occurrence in the house, and does not wake up and gets snapped into a coma. After months of trying to figure out what's going on and their son not waking up, they discover, or should I say the wife discovers, non-stop haunting events and incidents inside the house, and is concerning her. And so, basically, she enlisted help of an elder woman who happens to have a lifetime career of being a paranormal investigator, helping people in need with her 2 comic relief sidekicks by the name of Elise. I believe that the wife's name is Lauren, and the father's name is Josh, and our possessed child, or to say haunted kid, is played by, the character's name is Dalton. That's all I remember about the characters. Well, let's help out this older woman. And she says that your son happens to be able to bring his consciousness out of his body and go into spiritual realms through astral projection ability. And then we discover that there's only one person who can go into this spiritual realm to rescue their son, and it happens to be Josh, the father. Because the reason why all this full circle and relates is because when Josh was a child, he had similar incidents, but for his own protection, they had kind of been erased from memory, where he doesn't remember them. So he has to bring back his repressed memories, as well as bring back his ability to astral project, so he can go into the supernatural world to rescue his son from all that is wicked and a demon that wants to take over his body and possess him. The film has a lot of very, very surreal imagery in the movie. There's some cool stuff to look at in this movie. This is the film that kind of defined James Wan. I mean, I know that he had done a lot of cool stuff before Insidious with Dead Silence, the first Saw movie. He even took on action, suspense thriller with Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. Currently, he's actually taking on comic book world stuff. Now he's out doing some action films because people may not know this, or maybe you do. James Wan, the Mr. Master of Horror, James Wan, is actually the mind behind the success of like the last 3 Fast and Furious movies. He directed those films. Right now he is making Aquaman for DC Universe. What I can say is this guy's definitely got a lot of different things he can do, but he's best, in my opinion, in the supernatural horror gothic world of movies. And this is definitely an example about why. It says right here, the most terrifying film since The Exorcist. Well, maybe at the time this film came out it was. Since then it is definitely not. I would say that The Conjuring universe definitely upped the game. But let's go into video quality and audio quality. The video of this one, color-wise, color template-wise, I would say this is a very cool temperatured movie. A very cool temperature movie. Most of the color abstract is all with cold temperatures in this film. That's not necessarily a bad thing. This makes the movie look more digital, and that's okay with this movie. But I think the reason why it was filmed that way is because they wanted to play into the surreal imagery of the movie. We were talking about going into like interdimensional realms within our four-dimensional space to be walking. We're talking about ghost haunting a body of a child in the real world, astral projection, stuff like that. So it would have been surprising to me if this didn't have a cool, sort of glowy digital type of look to it. I think the cold temperature is just trying to make it seem like it's a cold, cool atmosphere of a movie, which is kind of what it is. So it actually works to do it this way. So I give an A+ on that. The audio. Now this might just be me. It might just be last night. Maybe I was too tired or something to where maybe my left ear wasn't working as good as my right ear. But I doubt that very much. I will say this, that when it needs to, the left and right surround mixes are equally used. But it just seems to me, watching this movie last night, that despite how theatrical the sound was and how good and clean and crisp and as good of an experience the sound was, it tended to push a little over to the right, more than it did to the left. And that right there is a little bit of a distraction when it's done too much like that. That's not the case with this one, but I cannot give a 100% pass to the audio of this movie because of it. So if you watch this movie on a good, decent sound system, don't be alarmed if you will constantly feel like it's pushing a little to the right and not so much to the left. The speakers are fine. It's just recorded like that. Unless, of course, it's just me, and the sound is perfect. For the most part, the sound is perfect. It just does that. And not like all the time. I mean, like, on effects that, you know, make good use of surround is equally delivered through both left and right surround. It's just, you know, neutral stuff kind of pushes a little to the right. But it's not that big of a deal. A lot of movies do this. It doesn't make the movie bad. What makes a movie bad is when it does it all throughout the entire movie. Then it gets bad. But that's pretty much all I'll just say is about the audio. Now I will announce that I will be doing, one second here. Sorry about that. I will announce that I will be doing a special review as well today, in between one of the Insidious films. I did recently go to movie theaters and watch The Nun. I will get into that when I do my movie review of The Nun. This will be my first review I've actually done that's not in here, to where I've actually bought the movie or taken a movie off of my shelf and watched it and then reviewed it. This will be a film I went to movie theaters to watch. So that'll be a little different kind of review. But I will also kind of describe why I don't go to movie theaters. But that's pretty much all there is to say about Insidious. So did you like Insidious? Did you not like Insidious? Do you like this review? Do you not like this review? Let me know below. As always, subscribe. I could definitely say I'm very happy. I have graduated from 55 to 58 subscribers within the past couple of weeks. It seems like I'm getting a lot of attention with doing this. Well, we'll see you guys next time for the review of Insidious Chapter 2. See you next time.